Thanks to Connect Tallahassee for giving me this opportunity to tell my story, maybe tell your story too. Donald Trump, Walt Disney, and me. What could these three diverse people possibly have in common? Well, it's not our politics. And I'm not a great cartoonist. All three of us have sought protection under the bankruptcy laws ourselves at least twice. I've never said that in public before. It's not a secret. All the lawyers I practice know that I have filed a bankruptcy or two. But what I learned was that I've learned a lot of things from it. And I've learned how to rise from the ashes. As I think you will admit, Walt Disney did, and Donald Trump did. Again and again. And again. And again. So I could be president.
Very good, yay!
Thank you. All right, Seta, are you going to be my campaign manager?
All day.
All right. I'll volunteer. The passion that I developed, and that I've really had all these years, but really didn't get, was that it's important for people who had financial unpleasantness in their lives to learn new skills, new ways of doing things, and most important, a new mindset. Because if you've been struggling with money, I'm here to tell you firsthand, you think you're a failure. You think you can't do anything right. And if you struggled with money and rose and crashed again in 2008 with the economy crash, you think, I'll never get it right. I'm here to tell you that it's possible to get it right. And in fact, if I had found this community of women that I'm involved with now, Women's Prosperity Network, earlier, I would never have filed the second bankruptcy. Because through that group, I've learned to think differently about prosperity, about myself, about what I can do to serve the world. Oh, and by the way, be paid for it. So, I want to share with you some of the things that I have learned about being a phoenix. And there's a phoenix in every one of us. And it's not just financial things that we rise from. It's health challenges. It's lost love, divorce, risen from that one too. And there are a lot of things, and all of the principles of the phoenix that I'm discovering and living with are apply to all of those resurrection experiences that we can have. So I'd like to share with you some of those things. First, you need to plan. P in Phoenix stands for plan. You need to plan a spending pattern that works better for you. In my best-selling book, La Di Da, in the appendix, I have a budgeting plan that is shared by Senator Elizabeth Warren, who is my hero, in her books about, she was a bankruptcy professor at Harvard, okay? Now she's a senator, changing the world, changing the way people think about money from a very different place. But her budgeting plan is the 50-20-30 plan. 50% of your money that you take home goes for what you gotta have. 20% goes to saving or paying off debt. And 30% is for fun. It's for wants. It's for cable. It's for a fancy cell phone. It's for clothes. It's for going on vacations. That's my favorite part. 30% of what I earn, my budget was so far out of whack when I learned this system that I really had some adjustments to do. And I highly recommend taking a look at that. I have some charts, free giveaways for people so that you can take a look at that system and do it yourself. No charge. I know I'm a lawyer, but no charge. The H in Phoenix stands for hope. Emily Dickinson tells us that hope is a feathered thing? Thing with feathers. Thank you. Thank God someone's literate. Hope is a thing with feathers. But don't make any mistake about what hope is. Hope is a superpower. It is the starring character in all of the stories that came out of the Holocaust about how people survived. Hope is powerful, and it exists independent of circumstances. You don't manufacture it. It comes from outside you, and you nourish it. So hope is powerful, and it's what keeps us going forward. The O in Phoenix stands for being the one. This book by my friend Nancy Matthews is called The One Philosophy, and it's a powerful little philosophy about treating each person as if they're the one. They're the person who can help you and help your friends, and they're the person who knows your next right connection. Treating everyone as if they're the most important person in the world, because in fact they are, as we all are. And by treating people as the one and trying to be the one for them, you get yourself involved in that wonderful law of giving and receiving. It's a circular law. You give, as you give, so shall you receive. Didn't somebody important say that? I think so. It is part of the law of giving and receiving. And being the one for people can be a very minor little thing that happens in the day. Last Sunday I was at church and I was complimenting a friend of mine who has started a fabulous, fabulous charity, and it's a business. She's running it. And I said to her, I'm so proud of you. I see your name and your billboards all over the place. She's spayed and neuters hundreds and hundreds of animals every year on a charitable basis. And I was complimenting her on how proud I was that she created this. And she said, oh, my right hand quit. And now I'm doing 3 jobs in the business and I'm exhausted. Well, I had just spoken with a girlfriend over here. And I mean, I reached out and grabbed her. This woman over here had all the skills that my friend needed in her business. And she was looking for a job. So I was the one for them by connecting them. And I pulled her over and I said, you may not know her. And you may, oh, they did know each other, but they didn't know they were looking. So I had the opportunity to put people together. Now, I don't know if that's going to come back to me or when it's going to come back to me, but when you put good and connections out into the universe, you're creating more. And don't we all want more? Do you want more?
Yes.
Please. You're full? No. Anyway, I'm becoming certified to teach this book, The One Philosophy, and I'm really excited about the ways that it's affected my life and put me in the flow even more of giving and receiving in the universe and participating in making the world a more prosperous and abundant place. So, that's the O in Phoenix. What's next? E. The next thing, the most, you've heard Billie Holiday's song, them that's got shall have, them that's not shall lose. Anyway, it's true. The Bible says it, and it still is true. I started too high to finish the song. But it is a true thing that when you think of yourself as abundant, as having things, more good things are attracted to you. And when you think you're broke, you stay broke. And I'm living proof of that. I have been there. I was a single mother. I married a millionaire and managed to stay broke. Now that takes real concentration. I mean, I have a great career. I'm a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for 30 years. And I've still stayed broke. But if you think you're broke, you're broke. I think Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So I'm really excited about how my thinking has been revolutionized in these last couple of years. And E stands for express gratitude, because expressing gratitude for any little thing takes you from a have-not to a have. And when you're a have, you get more. You bring yourself into the energy of, oh my goodness, I've been talking for 15 minutes? Oh well. They didn't even give me a microphone. So E stands for express gratitude. N stands for never, 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 never give up. Because once you start expressing these qualities of the phoenix, you have to remind yourself that if you're not there yet, it's because this is what becoming looks like. And think about the phoenix in the ashes, and its tail feathers are on fire, and there's smoke going, and it hurts. But that's what becoming the phoenix looks like. So just when you're in that place of becoming is when you need to remember, never, never, never give up. I'm grateful. I'm the one for people. Other people are the one for me, and I have a plan. I, my favorite letter is I, because I got a great story to go with it. I stands for imagine. Imagining what your life is like in prosperity. Imagining is a powerful tool, another superpower, if you will. And I had a personal experience with this when I was studying Receiving Your Riches, which is based on the book Science of Getting Rich. 2 years after I filed bankruptcy, I was still struggling badly. I was still 5 figures in tax debt and trying to pay my people. I was skipping my own paycheck, and I said I was behind in taxes. That's terrifying if you've ever been behind in taxes. And I started studying this program. It's a 30-day program, Receiving Your Riches, and it's based on The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. And as I was studying it, the thought came to me, I could just set a number and say, this is how much money I'm going to make in a month. And I'm going to make this every month. So I did go over my profit and loss for the last month and saw a high number that I made once. Only once. So I called up my staff, this is March 2nd, and I hadn't paid my mortgages for the previous 2 months. I hadn't taken a paycheck. And I called up my staff and said, okay, we're going to collect this amount of 5 figures of money every month from now on. And that day we collected half of it. Don't ask me how that happened. That month we collected 1.5 times that much, and it was enough money to make up for January and February. So I caught up my mortgage payments, I caught up my taxes, I caught up my paycheck. And for the rest of the year, we did that amount of money every month. We had never done that before. And we did it again the next year. And the girls in my office were all holding this number in their mind, going, okay, that's $2,000 a day, and that's $10,000 a week, and that's $40,000 a month. It changed my life. All my taxes got paid that year. The girls got raises. I felt prosperous. And it was from studying this book and changing how I think about money. And I highly recommend it. I have a few copies in the other room. X Factor. Everybody's got one. Your X Factor is what makes you unique and special. And find out what it is. Embrace it. Embody it. And carry it with you, because nobody else can do what you can do. Nobody else can affect the world the way you can affect the world. And by doing that, you put yourself in the flow of giving and receiving. And you become the phoenix you were meant to be. In addition to the budget thing that I handed out, I've also got purple cards that have on one side me, and on the other side the Phoenix Manifesto, which is right here. And it's fill in the blank. You decide what your word of hope is, and you decide what your vision is. But I encourage you to work with this every day. I am a phoenix, a spiritual being having a human experience. I'm a spark of divinity, the child of God and the universe. I now release the fears and beliefs that no longer serve me. All of my past is gone, except the blessings it has left me. I'm strong and powerful. I'm a blessing to my world. My word of hope is abundance for everyone. I have faith that all that I need to fulfill the vision of, for me, being the phoenix, will be given to me. I see a way where there is no way. I rise and fly. Thank you, God, that I am a phoenix. And I know that from whatever you need to rise, you can do it, because you too are phoenixes. Thank you very much. I have a table over there with most of these books and more, if you're interested. I want to turn you all into phoenixes. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask Kathryn? We've got about 10 minutes for Q&A.
Oh, cool!
Yeah. We built it in. No, we built it in for you. So we have
awesome.
10 minutes for Q&A. And do we have a question back there? Rain? Awesome. What was your question?
Hey, Rain.
Hi, I appreciate hearing a bit about your journey, and I would like to know if there was someone who was similar to you where you were when you were not being prosperous, what would you tell them would be the first thing? Do this today.
I would first of all, and I do this every day, this is what I do for a living. I 5 appointments a day, I'm talking to people who are struggling with their money situation. And the first thing that I do after I take a look at their budget is that I ask them, what do you do? What do you like to do? What's your passion? I encourage people to read Laurel Langmeyer, the Millionaire Maker's book, Creating Your Own Cash Machine for Life. Laurel believes that everyone has a talent or an ability, something that gives them joy that they can make money from. And she has helped people who saw themselves as completely trapped. Like one of the stories in there is about a plumber who, he was working his butt off, and he never saw his wife, and he never saw his children, and he didn't know how on earth he was going to ever change his life. He couldn't work less, he'd make not enough money, and his kids wouldn't be in school. It was terrible. And Laurel found a way for him to rethink his business, and so that he has more free time, more employees, makes a lot more money, because he had a special way of looking at plumbing problems that nobody else had. Now, that sounds kind of pedestrian, doesn't it? But the fact of the matter is, we all have a special way of looking at what we do, our X factor, that we can turn into money. So that's what an initial session with me is like. I look at the budget and go, hey, you're right, that doesn't work. So, how would you like to change that? Just in case they, missed that, but they're usually there because they didn't miss that.
Third question, and that was because, what do you do, what do you want to do?
And I have no earthly idea. No, what do you do? What would you like to do? And what special gift do you have the world that can be turned into money? Okay. Anybody else got a good question?
There was one up in the front. Someone had raised their
If there
hand.
wasn't, I'll do one.
Okay.
So the transformation that you've gone through, that you've written about so others can benefit, what is the number 1 or number 2 things that have happened to you personally through your own Phoenix transition that's changed you fundamentally? Because I've known you for 25 years. So I'm interested in knowing who you are now today, differently than you were when you started.
I'm a much more creative thinker today. She asked me what the Phoenix transition had done for me, how I'm different. And I'm a much more creative problem solver. The reason that I say that I wouldn't have filed the second bankruptcy if I had found a Women's Prosperity Network a year earlier was because of all the things I've learned about in marketing, in how to present myself and my skills and the things that I can do for people differently to my clients, to other clients. And I know for a fact I would not have had to file. I would have been able to pull myself out of that mess. And so I'm trying to teach that creative thinking to other people. And giving these talks, the Phoenix Manifesto, the books that helped me, I want to share them. Does that answer your question?
No, that's perfect.
Okay. Anybody else? One more question, please. Make me feel important.
You are important.
You are important.
You are important.
Oh, thank you. No questions, but an affirmation. I'll take it. I'll take it.
X factor.
The X factor, yeah.
All right, Kathryn, in 5 years, how will you have changed the world through your work?
I will be speaking about the Being the Phoenix concept all over the United States. And I'm working on pulling together workshops so that we can do exercises, working together like around your table. And I am I promised myself I will do 12 talks around the United States, hopefully where my grandchildren are and where my mother is, so that those trips will be tax deductible. And I want to start Women's Prosperity Network in Denver, Colorado. Then I have to go visit my grandchildren once a month. Darn.
We had a question.
Yes,
2 questions.
You want me to go first?
yes.
Okay, what percentage of your clients that come to see you to talk to you about their finances do you actually recommend that they file bankruptcy?
Great
Do you have any idea?
It's a wonderful question. And I would say, I went through my calendars and counted when I got board certified as a consumer bankruptcy lawyer. And at that time, I had filed 2,000 bankruptcies, and I had turned away about 10,000.
Okay, so it's pretty small, for the percentage.
Yeah, well, I've been doing this a long
Well,
time.
yeah, but 2,000 out of 12,000.
20%.
Yeah, it's 20%.
It's about
right, yeah.
20%. For more people, I teach them the budgeting system. I teach them the roll-up plan on how to pay off debt one credit card at a time. But doing that one at a time, I don't get to touch many people, which is why I want to do more of this. 1 minute? 1 minute. 1 minute. Being the Phoenix does have a Facebook page. Also, my law firm, Hathaway Sprague Law, has a Facebook page. Yes, yes. In fact, friend me on Facebook, Being the Phoenix, LLC.
And this gentleman here, I think you had a question.
Yes, Jeff?
I just had the realization that if you accomplish your 5-year plan,
Uh-huh.
that would seem to include running for president for 4 years.
You know what? The reason we did not like any of our candidates this year was because it's a crappy job, and it requires a horrendously huge ego to even survive the pressure, which is why we got what we got for candidates and why we didn't like them. So
That's a great way to end it.
it is a crappy job. You're under attack all the time. I applaud the Obamas that they survived this with class and without any, what do you call that? Scandal? No breakdowns, no ugliness. They were always classy, and I think it's because they have each other.